Hey everyone, Tech OG here, representing those who are 50 and up who love their tech. I want you to check out this movie clip right here on YouTube.
Charlie. You won! You did it! You did it! I knew you would! I just knew you would!
That movie clip was from the movie/musical Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I believe it was released in 1971. And that was one of my favorite scenes when Charlie gave back the everlasting gobstopper to Willy Wonka, and Willy Wonka said he won. And if you watched it, he basically got the entire chocolate factory. He got everything. It was fantastic. Now imagine me, just for a scenario, being Willy Wonka and Apple, the company, being Charlie. And I just basically want to say this to you, Apple. You've won. You did it. You finally did it. After all these years, it took you over a decade to do this. And I commend you. You did it. You've won the jailbreak war. No, but seriously, Apple, I tip my hat off to you. You fought jailbreakers for a lot of years, over a decade, and you probably paid a lot of money to fight the war, and it paid off. Hey, that's why you're a trillion-dollar company. You got the money to back it all up, and you finally, through all the work you've done from all your developers or engineers or whomever, and I could also say people from the jailbreak community, you hired some of them too. And you finally figured out, or you finally had them figure out for you, how to close off any way to jailbreak on future iOSs. So iOS 26, there's no way, most likely no way, that anyone can jailbreak. So I tip my hat off to you, Apple, but at the same time, I shed a tear to the jailbreaking community and the jailbreaking developers that have been doing this for over 15 years. What is jailbreaking, you ask? Well, for those of you who don't know, there's probably a small amount of people in 2025 that still know about it and maybe still jailbreak, but jailbreak was a term that was used to describe how a developer found a loophole in Apple's software on the iPhone to manipulate it to however you wanted to use the phone. The developer, by choice, released the information to the public so that everyone can jailbreak their iPhones. A person by the name of George Hotz, or his tech name GeoHot, he was the very first person to jailbreak an iPhone. Actually, before jailbreaking an iPhone, he was the first person to unlock the very first iPhone. So Generation 1 iPhone, he was the first to unlock the carrier on the iPhone, because when it was released exclusively to Singular Mobile. And if you're old like me, you remember Singular. Singular turned into AT&T afterwards, but it was released for that. And GeoHot, or George Hotz, was the first person to carrier unlock the first iPhone. Let me play a little bit of this video for you.
Hi, I'm GeoHot. This is the world's first unlocked iPhone.
The world's first unlocked iPhone. He did that. And later on, he jailbroke the first iPhone. And the first iPhone he jailbroke was the iPhone 3S or 3GS. One of those two. I have to look that up again, but wait, right here. So he released a tool for jailbreaking the iPhone 3G and 3GS. And it specifically targeted iOS 3.0. Awesome stuff. And if you want to learn more about GeoHot, he has a Wikipedia page. So go on Wikipedia, read about him, and learn about the stuff that he's done for the jailbreaking community. You can basically dub him as the godfather of jailbreaking iPhones, and his name is just synonymous in the jailbreaking world. For those, like I said, who did it years ago, over a decade ago, you know the name Geo. His name was like a household name. He was like, he was incredible. Pretty much since the first Jailbreak was released, a lot of people flocked into it and were jailbreaking their iPhones, and then there were so many developers that were creating tweaks and manipulations for your iPhone to let it do things that Apple did not create for their iPhone, that didn't think about those things for the iPhone. Now, they may have released updates that put in some particular tweaks or particular features on the phone, but jailbreakers went, the developers and the community, they went loose. They went all out, and they made so many tweaks for your iPhone that it just made it a brand new phone. It was like a brand new phone every day with the new tweaks and new releases. Even though the iPhone has some cool functions on it, the tweaks just made the functions even more worthwhile to use, and people discovering new ways to manipulate the phone to do certain things on it. It was just a lot of fun to put tweaks on your phone. Yeah, sometimes when you put a tweak on your phone, you can mess up your phone. Sometimes you can even break it. But that was a risk you had to take in order to get the latest and greatest tweaks from the jailbreaks of the iPhone. And I particularly was a iPhone fanboy for the longest because of the jailbreak. Every iPhone that I had, I jailbroke it. I didn't just use a stock iPhone. I just couldn't, because of the ways that the tweaks made the iPhone better. I had to. I mean, you could have changed your icons, changed the way the icons moved. So many cool things that people did on the iPhone, or the developers did on the iPhone, jailbreak developers did on their iPhone, that just made it worthwhile. And the next thing you know, so many websites came out. I mean, tons of websites came out to give you hints and tweaks and information and news about jailbreaking. And there's one particular website that I've used that gave me a lot of information, and I thank the developer of this website. That website is iDownloadBlog. Oops, I'm gonna use this finger. This website right here, I mean, gave me and many users so much information, and it's still active. It's still active right now, but because Apple won the jailbreak war, I don't think the creator of this website is going to stick around anymore, unless someone magically jailbreaks iOS 26, which I don't see happening at all. But like I said, this website had jailbreak news, tweaks. It even had jailbreak guides. So if you didn't know how to jailbreak an iPhone, but you wanted to learn, they had guides for every single iOS that could be jailbroken. I mean, check this out. So I'm gonna click on jailbreak guide. Look at this. I mean, all the information. It's all linked to. Every iOS that could be jailbroken, it's right here. Now, if you click on it, oh, it takes you right to it. That is just beautiful. So all the way down to iOS, yeah, like I said, 3.0, because that was the very first one. There it is. All the way up to, believe it or not, iPad OS 18.0. So from all the different iOS numbers you can see here, the jailbreak scene was active for a very long time. Like I said, over 15 years. And Apple has been battling the jailbreak community for over 15 years. Apple did not like anyone jailbreaking their iPhones. In fact, they were trying to say you can void your warranty. There were some cases where people took their iPhones to the Apple store to get it repaired, and then when they got it back, their jailbreak was taken out because the phone was updated. That was wrong. That was completely wrong. You can look it up. It's true. That's why I was afraid of taking my phone to Apple. So I took care of my phone a lot. Whatever Apple iPhone I had that was jailbroken, I put case upon case on it. I protected it dearly so that I wouldn't break it, so that I didn't have to take it to the Apple store. But like I said, Apples have been battling the jailbreaking community for a long time. There were even instances where Apple hired people from the jailbreaking community so that they can teach them, because Apple, like I said, had money. They had engineers and all kinds of people, security engineers, but they could not figure out how the jailbreakers were getting in. Actually, they learned from the jailbreakers. And like I said, Apple even hired jailbreakers to work for them, to let them know and let their engineers know, how can you help us block any future jailbreaks? It was funny. It was really funny that they hired them. And who wouldn't want to get hired by Apple? I mean, they pay top dollar. So, hey, if I did it, if I jailbroke an iPhone and Apple said, we want to hire you and we're going to pay you X amount of dollars, bye. So you can call them a sellout. I would have been a sellout, especially for the money. Because like I said, when people jailbroke the phone, the jailbreak developers, they didn't get paid from the public. Now, they may have gotten donations, but it wasn't as much money as Apple could have offered a jailbreak developer to help stop jailbreaks. So you can't blame any jailbreak developer jumping ship and getting the money, because anybody would have did that. Now, I'm not saying just somebody. Anyone, you, me, anyone would have jumped ship and did that. Oh, and here's another interesting fact. Apple, like I said, did not like jailbreaking or the jailbreaking scene. And so what they've also done to try to lure people that jailbroke their iPhones back over to their side, Apple side, they were basically borrowing or taking tweak ideas from the jailbreaking community and putting them in updates that they put on the phone. And so you can look it up right now. There were, like I said, certain features on iPhones that were borrowed or taken from the jailbreaking community. Not all of them, but just a few that Apple liked. So it was basically a love-hate relationship that Apple had with the jailbreaking community. Now, as you can see right here on this website, there were jailbreaks that actually covered all the devices for the iOS that it jailbroke. So that was kind of cool that one jailbreak was able to cover any device that had that particular iOS. And as you get higher in the numbers, it starts to get a little dismal. Well, except for here, look at it, there's a whole lot for iOS 15.0 to 15.1.1. Now that number range is kind of small, but it is kind of cool to see this many jailbreaks available for this range of iOS. But again, as you get higher in number, it starts to dwindle a little bit, and it starts to become the same names. Which is cool that some of these jailbreaks lasted for a long time. And even though you see the name here, the type of device that you could jailbreak started to get smaller and smaller. But like I said before, it was all devices, as it says right here. So dopamine version 2 or volume 2 works for all devices for this range of iOS, but these two right here only work for certain iPhones, and these were older iPhones too. So the iPhone 6s to the iPhone X, no one really used these phones for this iOS, unless you're one that preserved the iOS on that phone so that you could still have a jailbreak and do what you want to do on those phones. So jailbreakers had to make a decision. Do I want to use the apps that I use, the newer apps like Uber and Lyft? Because those are definitely two apps that you need to update to the latest iOS and lose your jailbreak. Do I want to keep my jailbreak and not have my favorite apps, or do I just get a new phone and be able to use my apps, because there are some people that just like using Apple phones over Android phones. But another thing that Apple did to dissuade people from jailbreaking, they were upgrading the apps in the App Store so that particular apps will only run on the newest iOS. And so if you had a phone that was on an older iOS, there were some apps in the App Store, and in particular, some of the most popular ones, that would not run on your phone unless you updated to the newest iOS. And if you did, you would lose your jailbreak, which is what Apple wanted from the get-go. So truthfully, people started jumping ship, and that was just one aspect of people jumping over to Apple's side. Another reason why Apple has started to win the war is because, again, jailbreaking developers, they didn't get paid a lot from just the community. There were people in the community that were mean, saying, hey, when's the next jailbreak coming out? I want it, blah, 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 but didn't want to contribute to the jailbreaking developers. And so that is discouraging. And so people are like, why should I make it and people don't appreciate me? Now, yeah, people can say, yeah, we appreciate you with words, but it's better to appreciate somebody with monetary compensation. Ask any YouTuber that's making money off YouTube. No one's doing it for free if you have the ability to make money. So, hey, I can completely understood the developers when they said, hey, I'm not going to release another jailbreak. And so once we started to see less jailbreaks happening, it just started to get really dismal for the jailbreaking community. And even those who developed tweaks, they didn't get a lot of appreciation either. There were some tweaks that people had to pay for. And there were some really good tweaks that cost money. It wasn't a lot of money. It was like maybe $2.50, $1.50, sometimes even 99 cents. But people weren't making a whole lot of money. And so they were like, this is not exciting anymore. It was still exciting for people that like jailbreaking, but it just wasn't exciting as a whole for developers and people like that. And so as we look at the top iOS numbers, Pale Rain, which is used on Mac devices, I think you can use it on Windows, but I tried to use it. It was not a good experience. And so my wife got a MacBook Air. I've used Pale Rain to jailbreak some devices on there. But as you can see here, as we get higher in number, so with iOS 17 through 17.7.3, you can only jailbreak using Pale Rain. That's it. Because Apple, like I said, has been closing up their exploits to allow people to jailbreak. So Pale Rain was the only way to do it, and you can only jailbreak these devices right here. iPad 6th generation, iPad 7th generation, 5-inch iPad Pro. Is there such thing as that? And a 9-inch iPad Pro 2nd generation only. That's it. These right here, these devices right here, no jailbreak yet, and no jailbreak coming. And then the very last one, iOS and iPad OS 18.0 Plus or and up. Pale Rain again is the only way to jailbreak, and the only device. This is the very last one, the iPad 7th generation. That is the only device to this day that you can jailbreak on this iOS. And like I said, anything lower, you gotta follow this guide and get these jailbreaks. And if you're interested in jailbreaking today, it's going to be pretty much almost impossible unless you can go on eBay and scour eBay, and I mean truly scour eBay, to find a device that has one of these iOS's that will allow you to jailbreak. Do you know how rare that is? Do you know how incredibly rare that is right now on eBay? If you don't believe me, go on eBay right now. I can guarantee, even with the auctions or the listings that have pictures, you're going to see, for those who took a picture of the settings, you're going to see pretty much every phone updated to 18.6.3 or whatever. You're not to find one that's on iOS 15. And if you do, you're incredibly lucky. Because like I said, you got to scour and really find a phone and hopefully pray and hope that someone has preserved that iOS. And I'm not going to lie to you. I found one. On August 30th, 2025, there was a seller, and I scoured eBay for a month, every day, and I mean for hours at a time, and finally found a seller that sold this iPhone 13 Pro with, guess what? iOS 15.6. I couldn't believe it when I saw the picture. It was right there. And you know, sometimes you can't believe everything you see because people just lie about everything. But I contacted the person and asked, is that true? Is that picture true where your phone still has iOS 15.6? He told me yes. I said, I'm buying your phone. And I gave him instructions on how to preserve it, where he can erase everything on it, but preserve the iOS. So when I received it, it had iOS 15.6 on it. I kid you not. Oh, you don't believe me, do you? Oops. There we go. 15.6. 15.6. Let's go down. So I was able to jailbreak with one of these. And the one I picked was the most stable and the best one, Dopamine. And because I jailbroke it with Dopamine, and here it is right, dang, I gotta get used to it. There it is. Oop, on the other side. So is this icon right? Dang it. I'm trying to hold it. There it is right there. So with Dopamine, and I got Troll Solo on here too. Whoa. Sorry about that. When I put the phone in front of the camera, because I'm using a Pocket 3 to record, it took off active track, so it went away from my face. But discovered that when I jailbroke this with Dopamine, this is considered an untethered jailbreak, where I don't have to connect this to a computer and re-jailbreak it if the battery runs out or if I turn the power off. Because usually if you do that, and they call that a semi-tethered jailbreak. Tethered means you got to connect with a wire or cable to a computer. So if you turn it off, you had to, in order to get the jailbreak back, you had to connect it to a computer and re-jailbreak through a computer. But because this is on a particular iOS, and basically the iOS 15.5 to 15.6.1, if you jailbreak with Dopamine, you have an untethered jailbreak. So if I turn this off right now, I can turn it back on. Dopamine will still be on here. I can press Dopamine and re-jailbreak it from the phone itself. No wires, no computer needed. This is forever jailbroken. I am very, very happy. So that's basically what you got to do. If you want to have a jailbreaking iPhone in 2025 and beyond, you have to get an older one. And it has to be, again, on an iOS that you can jailbreak. Other than that, get yourself a new iPhone. So the iPhone 17 has been released, 17 Pro, and the iPhone 17 Air. Nice phones, but in my opinion, they're starting to look like Google phones, in my opinion. But I digress. You can just get an Apple phone, and like I said, because Apple won the jailbreak war, now you're gonna be at the whim of Apple when it comes to updates or tweaks and features on your phone. Now it's gonna be up to Apple to come up with the coolest and greatest features, because you won't be able to do this. Check this out. Watch this. You know that's hot. That's jailbreak. That's a jailbreak tweet. Check this out. Here's another one. Cylinder, barrel. Well, it's first called barrel and then change to cylinder. You can't do this on a regular iPhone. I can do this on mine because it's jailbroken, and I'm keeping this phone forever. Now, I've been with Samsung for a while because I got away from the jailbreaking community for a while and went over to Samsung, because with Samsung, you could put any app on any phone or any Samsung phone. Well, that's going to change next year. I'll do a video on that later, where you can go on YouTube and get some get the skinny on that. But there was a lot more freedom on Android phones, so I've been using those for a while. And there were particular apps that you could not get in the App Store that I got in the Play Store. So I was with them for a long time, and it's a lot easier to play retro games on Android devices. I mean, a heck of a lot easier than doing it on here. But now I'm back to here, and like I said, this is my daily driver. This is my main phone, but it doesn't stop me from using, Samsung phones for other things. So I still have my Fold. Where is it? There it is. Yep, still on Fast Track or Active Track. So here's my Fold. So I'm still going to use this to record videos, look at content if I need to, and play my retro games, because I still can. Just trying to get to my main page. Here we go. So I can still play all my emulators on here and use this as my main phone and tweak the heck out of it. So I'm still going to be jailbroken in 2025 and beyond. It's just on the iPhone 13 Pro. And I'm cool with that, because I can still use this today. I can still use Uber, Lyft, and all my favorite apps on this device and not lose out. And I'm not going to be able to update those apps, but again, I can still use them. So until I can't use this at all, or use my favorite apps on here at all, and that's going to come eventually. Once that happens, I'll just go back to using Android. But I'll be using this for a while. And my wife is happy, because my wife has an iPhone and I can communicate with her through iMessage a lot better than using Android to Apple. So that's the main reason why I went back to Apple. Not just because of jailbreaking, but because of communication. And that's it. That's the end of this video. You got the guy right here. So if you wanna, gotta keep using this finger. If you want to jailbreak, here's the information right here. Go on iDownloadBlog, IDB, but the full name is iDownloadBlog. There it is, right up there. And go on there and get your information. And you can have a lot of fun. It can be a little challenging sometimes to jailbreak a phone, but don't give up. Especially if you have an iPhone with an iOS that you can jailbreak. Definitely try it. You will like it. It is a lot of fun to put on tweaks on your phone and do some amazing things with your phone. It's amazing to see the amount of tweaks that are out there. It's amazing to see how many people developed the tweaks and things. It's just really awesome. It was an awesome time when jailbreaking was a thing. But like I said, in 2025, with the release of iOS 26, jailbreaking is officially dead with that iOS. Like I said, go through the guide if you want to, or try to find an iPhone and go ahead and jailbreak, because you will like it. But like I said, there's a small amount of people that are doing it right now. And that's the end of the video. And I hope you enjoyed the content and enjoyed the information as much as I enjoyed talking about it. And if you did like the video, definitely leave a thumbs up. Oh, and in the comment section, let me know and show some pictures, because I don't just believe words. If you still have a jailbroken iPhone, show me your jailbreak. Show me if you're still using Cydia or Cilio or whatever. And if you're gonna hold on to it until the very last breath, let me know in the comment section. And hey, let me know about some of the tweaks that you have in your phone, and we can talk and dib and dab or whatever. So if like I said, enjoyed the video, definitely leave a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Tell your friends about my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video.